we welcome you to the Fence Comedy Debate.
Let's welcome the third speaker from the affirmative team, or the only person on Team New Zealand, Cal Wilson.
Cal.
Madam Adjudicator, my esteemed colleagues, the riffraff on this team, ladies and gentlemen, anyone that's wandered in by mistake thinking this is a media studies tutorial, good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, the best form of defence is offence. Now, Julian's renamed it a wall, but I'm going to continue to call it a fence because I've got more fence-related puns that I want to make. Now, just before I go on to rebut some of the arguments that we've heard, I'd just like to address the fact that I am a Kiwi, as everyone so kindly pointed out so far. I am technically a foreigner, but really New Zealanders are just the Aldi versions of Australians. So we're kind of the same, but cheaper and a bit wonky. Now, what we've heard so far, you're not usually supposed to talk about what the adjudicator has said, but Judith Lucy blew my mind with her candy cane feminine flavouring story. To me, candy canes mean Christmas, so now I'm just going to forever think of Judith Lucy as Santa Pants. She also talked about Tony Abbott and how he quotes what Jesus thinks. And the thing that I think about Tony Abbott, he says he's a good Christian man. And I believe that he has read the Bible, and he's read the passage that says, Jesus said, "Suffer the little children to come unto me." And I reckon Tony's got as far as "suffer the little children." And he's gone, I can totes do that.
Cal, can I say it is a bit weird to be rebutting the moderator?
And I stole your wine and flowers. I stole your wine and flowers as well, so we're going well. On to Limo. Now, Limo, sorry, I just punched that man in the face. That's how hardcore I am. Now, Limo is one of the nicest men in comedy. He has a wild appeal. He's appealed to the grown-ups by wearing a beautiful velvet jacket and a business shirt, and then he's wearing jeans and sneakers for the kids. It's like he's a grown-up from the waist up, but from the waist down, he's a child. And then Limo managed to be more right-wing than our team is supposed to be. So technically, I think he's defected, which, given that we're going to build a wall, he's not going to be able to do. It's like he's working for the Liberal Party, secretly. He wanted to be towed out to sea like an asylum seeker. And I reckon we can probably find a lifesaver who will do that. It will be like Bondi Rescue, played backwards. He talked up Nauru like it was Gilligan's Island. It was wonderful. And then First Dog on the Moon spoke, and I was excited to find out that he could. I've only ever seen him written down. I was kind of half hoping it would be like, but then he had salient points and wore a shark suit. And he wanted to win a Walkley, when really any dog just wants to win a Walkies. And then we got to Jessie, and Jessie, what I loved about Jessie was not only did she drop some truly awful and incredible statistics on us, she also felt comfortable enough in our company to share her nighttime fantasies about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Instead of actually addressing the argument, she just read out the first chapter of 50 Shades of Dwayne. And then she talked up Tony Abbott again. I'm beginning to think that I'm at a Liberal Party fundraiser without realising it. Maybe I just forgot to open the invite. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what could be more Australian than a fence? Or a wall, as I like to think of it. The Aussie flag made into a cape made out of concrete, knotted around the muscular, tattooed neck of Australia. The fence will become part of our cultural identity, the way the Berlin Wall did, and didn't that work out well for everyone? And after all, don't Australians love a stockade? We'd call it the Great Southern Fence, and we'd put it on all our tea towels and souvenirs. It's not a crazy idea. Fencery has already started happening. In the Kimberley, they've already built a massive cattle fence to save the innocent but delicious cattle from being eaten by conniving, marauding crocodiles. Now swap cattle for honest Aussie battlers and crocodiles for asylum seekers, and it's exactly the same situation we're facing now. We're not the only country that thinks fences are a good plan. Look at America, who we secretly want to be. Look at that king of forward-thinking Donald Trump. A man with so many great ideas hidden under the sleeping baby orangutan he calls his hair. Donald Trump has the right idea. He wants to build a wall. This is true. He wants to build a wall between the US and Mexico. And best of all, he's going to get Mexico to pay for it. We could do the same. We have our own Donald Trump already in Clive Palmer. Add a dash of Pauline Hanson for hair colour, and voila! We have the perfect combination of money, strongly held convictions, and gingery what-the-fuckness. Now, obviously, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Syria, and the other countries the asylum seekers are fleeing from don't have a lot of spare cash, so we can show our famous Aussie compassion by having a telethon for them to raise money so they can pay for the fence. Or if you don't like the telethon idea, I've got another one, which is 2 more good ideas than our current government's ever had. If there's one thing that Australians love more than keeping people out of Australia, it's reality TV. So why not combine our 2 great loves and have 4 lucky couples on the block building the Great Southern Fence? They'd be competing to literally block people out. It costs $1.2 billion a year to run detention centres on Nauru and Manus Island. Make that $1.2 billion the prize money for the show. Like First Dog said, we can get sponsorships or material from Bunnings. They can change their slogan to "Where lower prices and higher fences are just the beginning." And I propose we don't just stop at one fence. We build a fence around Canberra so we can have the Abbott-proof fence. We have the one just around Australia, offshore, and thank you so much for doing the quota for us, Jessie, the quote for us, Jessie, on how much it would cost, because we can take that down the road to Masters and they'll do it for 15% cheaper. We have one further out to sea. We build on natural structures already there. We let the Great Barrier Reef just become the Great Barrier. We have the Great Southern Fence, the Abbott-proof fence, the Great Barrier. They'll join all of the other famous fortifications of history and popular culture. The Great Wall of China, Hadrian's Wall, Pink Floyd's The Wall, Fence and Fenceability, and that wonderful movie, The Sixth Fence. It turns out at the end he's been dead inside all along. But why stop at fencing Australia? We should be fencing other countries. We can stop the boats more effectively if they never get started. We put fences around every other single country, not just the countries that send us asylum seekers, every single country. No one likes tourists. They come here, they wander aimlessly around, they talk in their crazy languages. Oh, what is this, Mikey? I don't understand. They drag their wheelie suitcases through town and no one can tell me they don't fucking hate the sound of wheelie suitcases on footpaths. We don't want them here. Fence them out. And once we're fully protected by the Australian Fence Force. I told you there were a lot of fence puns. Once we have no visitors to our shores of any kind, we'll all be safe and happy because no bad things have ever been done by any Australian. Except for letting Sam Newman on television. Reclaim Australia will become redundant because they'll have nothing to reclaim Australia from. And that means they'll do one of 2 things. They'll either calm right down without all that pressure of having to spell their signs. They'll let their hair grow back, they'll get some heavy-duty laser tattoo removal. They'll suddenly realise that Australia wasn't actually theirs to reclaim in the first place and hand it back to the Indigenous Australians, or they'll double down and call themselves Reclaim South Australia and try and make Adelaide the capital instead of Canberra. Because when you're up against the fence, you're bound to have splinter groups. And once we're behind the Great Southern Fence, we won't want anything from overseas. None of their people, none of their food, none of their TV. We'll have to make more of our own TV, and that can only be a good thing. Of course, some of our TV shows will have to change a bit. Home and Away will become Home. Neighbours will become Nobers. And Q&A will become No Q's, eh? And border security will just be 24 hours a day live streaming of CCTV footage of the fence. The way of life we have is beautiful. We don't want to share it with anyone else. We don't want people coming in here with their desire to contribute to society, their courage, their rich cultural heritage and their diversity. Now, I would like to make one exception to that rule, actually. If there is one thing that Aussies love more than keeping people out, reality TV, beer, casual racism and daddos, it's sport. If a refugee can get within 50 metres of the Great Barrier and kick a footy over the Great Southern Fence, they're in. Now, ladies and gentlemen, despite her refugee-helping, compassionate, hard-working, dedicated to saving humanity ways, even Jessie Taylor is into the idea of a fence. I give you this tweet from August the 8th from her timeline.
I'm still looking. I'm not joking.
Yeah, if you could help her out, if anyone does know a good fence builder, she's totally out for that. Now, if we're going to act in the best interests of Australia, we need to think big. We don't only need to build a fence, we need to change the flag. New Zealand's doing it, we'll jump on board and say we thought of it first. I suggest Australia needs a new flag which just has a simple black background with the words "no vacancy" written on it. And we need to rewrite the anthem. We'll get Judith Durham to record it. She can get the band back together and call it the No Asylum Seekers. That is my favourite one. Now, there's not much to do to change the national anthem. I've rewritten the lyrics already. I'm not going to sing them to you because I have some respect for you, but I am going to read them aloud. Australians all, let us rejoice. Refuge seekers, get thee hence. We've golden gates, but far less mates, for we have built a fence. Our land abounds in nature's gifts that you will never share. Our land is walled, the world's appalled. Advance Australia's fear. Behind our radiant southern fence, we'll toil with hearts and hands to keep this commonwealth of ours cut off from all the lands. For those who have come across the seas, we've nothing here to share. Compassionless, let us combine. Advance Australia's fear. Enjoy, constrained, then let us sing. Advance Australia's fear. Thank you.
Magnificent.